Kore Mapinduka, and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I am Glenora Shipura, joined by Diana Master.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's the first day of August.
August, exactly. It's a brand new month, meaning brand new opportunities. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll now take a quick ad break and return after this.
We apologize for the technical difficulties experienced earlier. Getting into your top stories, SAPS vows to get rid of rogue cops after 7 officers arrested for robbing LM Café in Niger. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate in Gauteng arrested 7 police officers based in ECOWAS after an investigation into allegations of the officers terrorizing staff members at LM Café in Niger. IPID spokesperson Robbie Rubarabo said the officers, 4 members of ECOWAS Infrastructure Unit and 3 members from Germantown Crime Intelligence, were detained at the Nigel police station after handing themselves over at Benoni police station on Friday. The officers allegedly assaulted staff members at LM Café, destroyed property including the digital video recorder of the establishment, and stole more than 200,000 rands in cash. They also took more than 150 boxes of cigarettes, but only handed in less than what they had confiscated to the authorities, said Rabu.
Now getting into our next story, suicide blast kills over 40 at Pakistan political gathering. At least 45 people were killed and more than 100 others wounded on Sunday by a suicide bombing at a political gathering of a leading Islamic party in northwest Pakistan, officials said. The blast targeted the Jamiat Ulema-e-Islam F party, a government coalition partner led by an influential firebrand cleric. More than 400 party members and supporters had gathered under a canopy when the attack took place in the town of Kar near the border with Afghanistan. Riaz Anwar, the health minister for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, said local hospitals reported 45 dead and 123 wounded, including 17 patients in serious condition. It was a suicide attack with the bomber detonating himself in close proximity to the stage, he told AFP. Provincial Governor Haji Ghulam Ali confirmed the toll. Images from the blast site circulating on social media showed bodies strewn around the scene and volunteers helping blood-soaked victims to ambulances.
Now, in our next story, ECOWAS leaders give Niger 1-week ultimatum to restore president. Several thousand demonstrators gathered in Niger's capital, Niamey, to demand the departure of French military troops from the country. They also want an end to other foreign interference after last week's coup that has brought a military junta to power. However, West African leaders meeting in an extraordinary summit on Niger have threatened military action against the junta if he does not reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum.
Now, getting into our next story, Trump vows to continue presidential campaign if sentenced. Former U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday he would not end his run for the White House if convicted and sentenced in any criminal investigations, threatening to derail his tumultuous comeback bid. The Republican frontrunner discussed the multiple indictments he faces as he pushes for a second term, a day after prosecutors broadened the charges against him over his handling of classified government documents. As radio host John Fredericks asked if being sentenced would stop his campaign, Trump quickly responded, "Not at all. There's nothing in the Constitution to say that it could."
Now, wrapping up our top stories, there were 9 internet restrictions in 8 African countries in the first half of 2023, and this was double the number of restrictions the same time last year, according to a report by Surfshark. Surfshark, a Netherlands-based internet monitor, said the restrictions were related to political turmoil and protests. All of Africa's new restrictions were imposed amid protests or other political turmoil, highlighting the critical role the internet plays during periods of civil unrest. The organization said in a statement, the African countries that experienced internet shutdowns between January and June this year were Ethiopia, Mauritania, Senegal, Guinea, Sudan, and Tanzania. And in Burkina Faso and Eritrea, long-term restrictions from the previous year continued throughout the first half of this year.
Stick around, we'll be right back after the short break with Mike Sichula as he gives us news from Zambia.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's take a look at the weather predictions for Southern Africa and hopefully get a chance to speak to Mike Sichula.
Starting us off in our news from Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema is in Israel for a 3-day state visit where he will hold bilateral talks with his counterpart, President Isaac Herzog. Here to bring us the story is Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mike.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Can you get into your first story, Mike?
Yes, like I've always been saying, President Hakainde Hichilema has embarked on economic diplomacy where he's visiting key states within the Southern African region and the entire African community to see to it that his administration, which he dubs as the New Dawn administration, seeks to have bilateral relationship countries within the world so that enhance its economic diplomacy. So this week he's gone to Israel for a three-state visit at the invitation of that President Isaac Herzog. So yesterday he went to the Holy City, and I also held some meetings with the business community in Israel to see to it that he could get them to come to Zambia so that they can invest in sectors such as the agricultural sector and also the ICT and any other sectors that can contribute to Zambia having to improve its local economy. So this visit, President Hichilema is accompanied by the First Lady Mutinta Hichilema and key government ministers, Minister of Foreign Affairs, as well as representatives from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to understand how Zambia benefits from the advancement of Israel.
All right, now moving on, Zambia is negotiating a prisoner exchange agreement with the Russian government. Please give us the details.
Yes, this was revealed to the media by Zambia's Foreign Affairs Minister Stanley Kakubo, who represented President Hichilema during the Russia-Africa summit that was held in Petersburg. So during that visit, Mr. Kakubo told journalists that Zambia was negotiating with the Russian government to see to it that Zambian nationals who have been found on the other side of the law in Russia can be swapped and brought back to Zambia to serve their sentences. So this is coming on the background of one Zambian who was involved in the Russia-Ukraine war, Mr. Nirenda, who actually died. So the background of this story that he was in Russian prison. Then there was an agreement that if he took part in the Russia-Ukraine war, then he could be freed. And unfortunately, he died. So this one of those areas that the scene is trying to, as those Zambians in Russia facing criminal charges could be brought back to Zambia. So it didn't state how many are in prisons in Russia, but there is that understanding that Zambians are brought back into the country to serve their sentences. There was also another incident of a Zambian student who defamed the culture of Russia, but luckily this one has been pardoned. So there are a number of Zambians, but the minister did not clearly state how many, but he said that talks are advanced.
All right, sorry to cut you off there, Mr. Sichula, but we are running out of time. So if you could briefly just give us the sports update.
Well, Zambia, the Copper Queens yesterday signed off from their maiden World Cup with a 3-1 victory over Costa Rica, ranked 41 places above the Copper Queens. So it was a good outing for the Copper Queens because Barbara Banda scored the 1,000th goal at the World Cup, and also Lushomo Mwemba, the Zambian's first goal scorer, scored the fastest at the current World Cup. So there are these positives that came out from this team, and it is expected that this team will remain united and also focus on the upcoming events such as the WAFCON and the Olympic to be held in Paris. So it was a good outing despite being eliminated. But at the end of the tournament, they picked out 3 key points and made history to have won their first match at the World Cup.
All right. Thank you so much for bringing us these stories, Mike.
Thank you, Africa. Good morning.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back with our economic news.
Getting into our economic news, Mozambique MPs back creation of sovereign fund. The European Parliament's Committee on Budgets on Thursday called the creation of a sovereign wealth fund in Mozambique an important step towards transparent management of natural gas revenues and the distribution of prosperity among the population. The creation of the sovereign fund can ensure that the revenues from gas are well managed and add value, said Jose Manuel Fernandez, head of the delegation of the European Parliament's Committee on Budgets, which ended a 4-day visit to Mozambique on Thursday.
Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek, before we get into the sports package with Ari Gogad.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with cycling news first. It was the Tour de France Femme, the Tour de France for women that finished over the weekend in Pau. Big victory for Demi Vollering. Demi Vollering is from the Netherlands, and it's a maiden Tour de France Femme win, and she won it in a time of 25 hours, 17 minutes and 35 seconds. That was over 8 stages, and it was stage 8 on Sunday. It was a time trial, and she finished second, but that was enough to get her to maintain the yellow jersey. It was the time trial that was won by Marlen Reuser, and she's from Germany. She won in 29 minutes and 15 seconds, and 10 minutes behind her was Demi Vollering. But the big move was on the 7th stage. That was over the weekend when she went past the leader Lotte Kopecky of Belgium. It was Demi Vollering that won stage 7 quite comfortably, and it was in the end, in the overall standings, it was Lotte Kopecky of Belgium that finished second, all of 3 minutes and 3 seconds behind Vollering, so quite a convincing win by Debbie Vollering. Southern African interest in the Tour de France Femme, it was Ashley Moolman-Pasio that was mostly in the top 3 in the first few stages, and she fell back a little bit on stage 7 and in the time trial, and she finished overall number 6, 6th position for Ashley Moolman-Pasio of South Africa, 5 minutes 21 seconds behind the winner, but a good tour by Ashley Moolman-Pasio. Moving on to Formula 1 racing, it was the Belgium Grand Prix over the weekend. Again, Red Bull dominating, Max Verstappen winning. That has been happening all the weekend so far in the race, in the season. The next race will be in a few weeks' time. That will be 27 August only. That will be the Netherlands. That will be the home Grand Prix for Max Verstappen. And there's 10 Grand Prix left. So the Netherlands Grand Prix will be number 14 out of 23. What happened over the weekend? Max Verstappen winning comfortably, Sergio Perez, also Red Bull Honda second, and then Charles Leclerc doing better in his Ferrari. He won last year at the Belgian Grand Prix, but 3rd position this year, with Lewis Hamilton in 4th position. Overall standings, 314 points for Max Verstappen, comfortable lead over Sergio Perez, 189 points for Sergio Perez in 2nd position. And on the track, also challenges for the Alpine team owned by Renault, and it's Renault that announced that they parted way with team principal Otmar Szafnauer and also by director Alan Parmane, and both of them not with the Alpine team anymore. They were still at the Belgian Grand Prix, but they're not going to be there for the last 10 Grand Prix. At the Belgian Grand Prix, it was Esther van Ocon of the Alpine team finished 8th, and then it was Pierre Gasly that finished in 11th position. And closing off today's international sports news with golf news on the women's circuit, it was the Evian Championship played in France, and the winner there was Caroline Bourtier. She is from France. She was the big favorite, local favorite, and she won with a total of 14 under par. Quite a few shots ahead of the second place Brooke Henderson of Canada. She was -8, so -14 winning, -8 second position Brooke Henderson of Canada. And to close off also, it was the British Open for seniors. That's the players over 50 years. Many legends of the game playing in that tournament. The winner in the end, Alex Chayka. He's from Germany. He won in the playoff against the Padraig Harrington of Ireland. Both of them finishing on a score of +5, 5 over par for the 4 rounds. Lots of gusty winds and bad weather on the last 2 days, and it made the scoring difficult in that tournament. But it's Alex Chayka of Germany winning the British Open for seniors. Southern African interest, there was Keith Horn of South Africa. He was tied 25th on 14 under par. And then also James Kingston, he was tied 33rd. He was 15 under par for Southern African interest in the British Open for seniors. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day and sport week. And we talk again international sport tomorrow. Goodbye.
This is still Africa. Good morning. If you're just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights. SAPS vows to get rid of rogue cops after 7 officers arrested for robbing LM Café in Niger. Suicide blast kills over 40 at Pakistan political gathering. ECOWAS leaders give Niger 1-week ultimatum to restore president. Trump vows to continue presidential campaign if sentenced. And in economic news, in Mozambique, MEPs back creation of sovereign fund.
And with that, we've come to the end of our show. Do remember that you can catch Africa Good Morning tomorrow, same time, same place. From me, Glenora Shipura.
And me, Diana Master, we wish you a lovely Tuesday ahead.